Biblical values are not white, they're not black, they're red. They're covered by the blood of Jesus, okay? Biblical values are not black and they're not white. They are red. They are covered by the blood of Jesus. And they supersede any party. Thank you so much for liking and your comments and subscribing to the channel. Please share this with your friends. Smash that like button. Smash the subscription bell. Share this with everybody you know. We're trying to make sure people understand that they're not victims, that they are empowered for greatness, and all this stuff that's out here that's telling them otherwise is false and will not benefit them in the end. So please, I appreciate that. Share that. You know, there's certain people that have been race hustling for years. And one of the main ones is Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. You know, back in the day, I used to like Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. He really was the first black intellectual that I would follow. And he had some very provocative and insightful things that he would write. I was very impressed. But over the last decade or so, I've started to see his true colors. Everything he espouses is based on Marxism, communism, and socialism. It's based on grievance, is based on seeing black people still being oppressed, still being victims. He mentions that black people need to be emancipated. What do we need to be emancipated from? That's my question. What do we need to be emancipated from? Emancipated from these social policies, these liberal policies that Democrats have instituted in the inner city? We need to be liberated from that? We do, don't we? But no, he and Joy Reid, another race hustler, another puppeteer. See, you have to understand something. White liberals have put black faces on MSNBC to parrot their ideology, to parrot their philosophy, to be the face to black people, to constantly present them with imagery, to constantly present them with this narrative that America is systemically racist, that America is wrong, America is dirty, 1619, America, oh man, you got racism on every corner. We can't even go out the house. We're afraid of being shot by the police. And now, Dr. Dyson and Joy Reid are now critiquing Winsome Sears, the newly elected Lieutenant Governor of the state of Virginia.
Doing is they basically demand credit anytime any of them ever voted for anybody black, or if there's a black guy in the Supreme Court that's conservative. Any black conservative is supposedly, or the black president having ever been elected, right? The fact that he was elected, period, means there's no racism. And even if they're literally trying to ban books about black people and saying you cannot talk about the black experience, we're gonna cut that out of schools because white people don't like it, they still want credit. They still want to be able to say it's not racist. And in this case, I just want to get your comment on this, because the two choices that voters had in Virginia were a black woman who shares my daughter's name and Jamaican heritage, and an Afro-Latina who's part Lebanese. So you had the choice of two brown/black people, and you picked one of them. Do you get credit? Do you get special credit? It's like I had ice cream or cake as two options, but I want credit for lowering my calorie count because I picked ice cream. You had two choices, and they were both black. Your thoughts?
I've eaten the cake and the ice cream, clearly. But what's interesting is that you're absolutely right. They want credit for breathing. They want credit for having They want credit for having hair in the morning or getting up and brushing their teeth. Look, I've made an achievement that should be noteworthy. No, you are doing what all political figures must do, make choices. The problem is here, they want white supremacy by ventriloquist effect. There is a black mouth moving, but a white idea through the running on the runway of the tongue of a figure who justifies and legitimates the white supremacist practices. We know that we can internalize in our own minds, in our own subconscious, and in our own bodies, the very principles that are undoing us. So to have a black face speaking in behalf of a white supremacist legacy is nothing new. And it is to the chagrin of those of us who study race that the white folk on the other side and the right wingers on the other side don't understand this is politics 101 and this is race, not even 101. What's beneath 101? It's the pre-K of race. You should understand the fact that if you tell black people, look, I support a Negro, look, there is a person of color that I am in favor of, and that person of color happens to undermine and undercut and subvert the very principles about which we are concerned, you do yourself no service by pointing to them as an example of your racial progressivism. So in that sense, they need to have a lesson in critical race theory so that they can understand what critical race theory is. And Joy, we know this. First of all, they ain't critical. They ain't run a race in a long time that's meaningful in terms of our people, and they ain't got no theory. Critical race theory, we know, comes from critical theory. The word critical in theory means let's be on the side of those who need to be emancipated for things that are imposed upon them that enslave them. That's all it means, and they've invented an entire a universe of meaning out of that one word.
They are calling her a black face espousing white voices. He had the nerve to say that she is a black face espousing white supremacy. Yeah. He said that she is a black face espousing white supremacy. So first it was Larry Elder, who was a black face of white supremacy. So now we have another black face of white supremacy. When will they stop? Why can't you just admit that there are some black people, there are some people who want traditional values, who want biblical values in their candidates? To Dr. Dyson, anything that's biblical is considered white supremacy. Anything that helps preach personal responsibility, anything that would teach personal responsibility to the black community is considered white supremacy. That's a white supremacist thought. That's a white supremacist platform. These people will not give up. They will not give up. They see everything through the lens of race. Critical race theory is seeing everything through the lens of race. And Joy Reid talks about they're not letting them read black authors. What black authors are you letting them read? Are you letting them read Booker T. Washington? Are you letting them read authors who do not subscribe to your ideology and your philosophy? Of course not. Because that will not square with your narrative. Your narrative is to justify the revolution that your liberal puppet masters want, your progressive Marxist puppet masters want. They want it based on race. This cultural Marxism, they want it based on race. It's all in their writings. They want to divide us based on race so they can come in and redo America, to reset it, if you will. And Dr. Dyson and Joy Reid are just mouthpieces for the liberal agenda. And they talk about Winsome Sears being a black face espousing white supremacy. You cannot win as a black conservative. If you run based on biblical values, somebody will find some reason to say you're espousing white supremacy. And that is what I talk about as gatekeepers. They're being gatekeepers. They're telling black people what you can and cannot do. They're telling Winsome Sears, because you ran as a Republican, you are espousing white supremacy. You don't belong because you are standing on this side of the fence. That is wrong and that is incorrect. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. We can think for ourselves. We don't need puppet masters and gatekeepers to tell us how to think. But Dr. Dyson and Joy Reid are the ones espousing this stuff. A black face espousing white supremacist views. Well, I guess I'm a black face espousing white supremacist views then, because I'm a black face espousing biblical values. Biblical values are not white, they're not black, they're red. They're covered by the blood of Jesus, okay? Biblical values are not black and they're not white. They are red. They are covered by the blood of Jesus. And they supersede any party. So, we are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. Winsome Sears is not a black face espousing white supremacy. Michael Dyson, Dr. Eric Michael Dyson, and Joy Reid are black faces espousing Marxist communist views. They are black faces being used by their puppet masters to espouse racist views. That's who they are. They are black faces being utilized by the white puppet master to espouse racist views. We are not victims. We are empowered. And why do we always attack each other? They get us on this stage to attack each other, to attack one another, simply because the woman ran on a platform they don't agree with. Instead of disagreeing with her based on the issues, they want to disagree with her. They want to disparage her and call her a black face espousing white views. That is wrong. We gotta stop doing that. We gotta stop subverting each other. We gotta stop self-sabotaging each other. Applaud the win. Disagree with her on policy, but don't disparage her character. You're calling her a sellout. This is wrong. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness.